For many, Lee Yi-kyung has always been one of South Korea's most genuine faces on screen, the charming comedian, the lighthearted actor who could make any scene glow with sincerity. But in October 2025, that image was suddenly ripped apart by a scandal so strange, so modern, that it almost felt unreal. A few screenshots, a few words, and an entire career was nearly consumed by an artificial intelligence-generated lie. It began quietly, as most digital storms do. Late one evening, an anonymous blogger claiming to be a German national uploaded screenshots of explicit chat messages, supposedly between herself and Lee Yi-kyung. The screenshots looked real, the language shocking and the allegations heavy, that the actor had sent inappropriate messages, made vulgar comments, and crossed moral boundaries. Within hours, social media turned into a wildfire. Fans who once adored him were suddenly unsure. Comment sections filled with disbelief and anger. "Is this really him?" some whispered. "Has Lee Yi-kyung been hiding something all along?" The virality was instant. The blogger's post gained thousands of shares across platforms, making Lee's name trend worldwide for all the wrong reasons. Memes were created, YouTube channels dissected every screenshot, and anonymous accounts spread proof that wasn't proof at all. In a matter of hours, years of hard work and trust were hanging by a digital thread. But behind the screen, something didn't add up. The screenshots were too polished, the phrasing a little too machine-like. Lee Yi-kyung's agency, Sang-young Yenti, wasted no time. Their statement was sharp and unwavering. "All allegations are false. These claims are fabricated. We will take strong legal action against the spread of malicious rumors." They weren't just defending an actor. They were defending a man's identity in an age where truth could be rewritten by code. Still, the damage had been done. Even with the agency's response, doubt lingered. The power of a scandal is not in its truth, but in its spread. For days, Lee Yi-kyung stayed silent, continuing to film his shows behind the storm. Production teams, though rattled, trusted the agency's confidence. Yet the internet had already decided to play judge and jury. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Just as quickly as the scandal rose, it crumbled. The anonymous blogger returned with a statement that stunned everyone. Everything was fake. "I made it up using AI. It was just a joke that went too far." The confession hit like a thunderclap. The individual revealed that the entire story, the screenshots, the messages, the tone, had been fabricated using artificial intelligence tools. What started as a prank had spiraled out of control, turning into a digital monster that the creator could no longer contain. They admitted to becoming emotionally lost in the false story they'd created, as if the fiction had taken on a life of its own. The truth was worse than the lie. It exposed something far darker than gossip. It revealed just how fragile reputation has become in an era of artificial intelligence. A fake image, a synthetic sentence, a simulated conversation, and suddenly, reality no longer belonged to the person it described. Lee Yi-kyung's agency confirmed that this was not the first time the same individual had tried to manipulate them. Months earlier, they had attempted a similar hoax to extort money from the agency, only to backtrack and apologize when confronted with legal threats. This time, however, the stakes were higher. A global audience had believed the lie. A career was nearly destroyed. Sang-young Yenti immediately filed a criminal complaint against the blogger for defamation and the spreading of false information. They emphasized that the actor had suffered severe emotional distress and reputational harm because of what was, essentially, a digital illusion. Their tone was no longer defensive, it was furious, determined to make this case a line in the sand for every other celebrity living under the shadow of potential AI deception. For Lee Yi-kyung himself, the scandal became a test of character. Instead of disappearing from the spotlight, he returned to filming. On set, those who knew him said he was calm, even gentle, perhaps more so than before. "He didn't talk about it much," one crew member reportedly said. "He just worked harder, like he wanted to remind everyone who he really is." Fans who once doubted began to rally behind him again. Supportive hashtags began trending. #WeStandWithLeeKyung, #StopAI Hoaxes, and #TruthOverTrends. The tone of the conversation shifted from accusation to awareness. People began asking bigger questions. How much can we trust what we see online? What happens when AI is used not for creativity, but for cruelty? This wasn't just about one actor anymore. It was a warning for an entire industry. As AI tools become more advanced, the line between truth and fabrication blurs dangerously. Celebrities, public figures, and even ordinary people can find themselves victims of synthetic scandals created out of thin air. With every deepfake and AI-generated image, society inches closer to a point where the truth itself becomes negotiable. For Yi-kyung, the experience was both painful and powerful. In an interview following the agency's legal filing, insiders say he described feeling betrayed by technology. But he also expressed gratitude for his fans, for his team, and for the people who didn't let the lie define him. His return to work marked more than just a career continuation. It was a quiet act of defiance against a system that had tried to erase him with digital fiction. Now, the story of his scandal is becoming something else, a lesson. A cautionary tale for the AI generation. What started as a joke nearly ended as a tragedy, but it also exposed the urgent need for accountability in the digital world. The fake scandal became real evidence of how artificial intelligence, when abused, can rewrite human lives with frightening ease. As the case moves forward, Yi-kyung's agency continues to push for justice. Legal experts predict this could set a precedent in South Korea for handling AI-generated defamation. The entertainment industry is already tightening its monitoring systems, watching closely to prevent another incident like this. Yi-kyung, meanwhile, is reclaiming his space, one honest performance at a time. He's been spotted smiling again on set, engaging with fans, and focusing on the work that first earned him admiration. The digital storm may have shaken his world, but it didn't break it. In the end, truth outlasted the lie. The AI-generated hoax that threatened to destroy him instead revealed something even stronger: resilience, integrity, and the unbreakable connection between a real man and the audience that chose to believe in him again. And perhaps that's the final irony of it all. A fake story created by artificial intelligence ended up proving the very real humanity of Yi-kyung. The night the scandal broke, Seoul's entertainment world didn't sleep. Every corner of social media pulsed with disbelief. Screens glowed with screenshots that looked too real to doubt, blurry images of supposed chats, timestamps that matched late-night hours, and words no one wanted to imagine coming from the mouth of someone as gentle and humorous as Yi-kyung. Within minutes, hashtags like #Yi-kyung exposed and #KDramaShock were trending across Korea, Japan, and even global fan spaces. The digital wildfire had found its fuel. Rumors spread faster than facts, and every retweet felt like another spark thrown into a pile of dry leaves. Inside Sangyang Yenti's building, the atmosphere was electric with panic. Staff members huddled around glowing monitors, scrolling through the supposed evidence. Some stared silently. Others cursed under their breath. Yi-kyung was in the middle of filming when his manager rushed in, phone trembling in hand. The moment the actor saw the screenshots, his expression froze, not with anger, but confusion. He read each line quietly, his eyes dark and searching. "I didn't write this," he said softly, almost to himself. The air in the room thickened. His manager's reply came quick: "We know. We'll handle it." But handling it wasn't simple. The internet didn't care about truth. It cared about speed. Before dawn, entertainment gossip accounts had already published exclusive breakdowns of the chats, complete with dramatic thumbnails and fake voice recordings generated by AI. Online forums were split, some defending him, others demanding an apology for something that never even happened. Behind the scenes, the agency's legal team went into overdrive. Lawyers drafted official statements, media managers sent out clarifications, and every employee was ordered to track the source of the fake leak. Still, for Yi-kyung, the worst part wasn't the chaos outside, it was the silence that followed inside. The people he worked with, the colleagues who once laughed freely on set, now glanced at him with quiet pity. Even when he smiled, something about it felt forced. At home, alone in his apartment, He scrolled through the posts late into the night. Every headline seemed to cut deeper. Leaked messages reveal star's double life. Fans demand explanation from Yi-kyung. The cruel irony was that the more he stayed silent to avoid feeding the rumor, the guiltier he appeared to those who didn't know better. But the truth always leaves clues. One fan noticed something strange about the screenshots. The language used was inconsistent, filled with Western-style phrasing and grammatical quirks no Korean speaker would use in casual conversation. Another spotted that the background of the chat interface didn't match the popular messaging app styles in Korea. Little by little, the internet's narrative began to shift. When Sangyang Yenti released their official statement, it was short, fierce, and precise. All claims against Yi-kyung are entirely false. We confirm the materials circulating online are fabricated using artificial intelligence tools. Legal action will be taken against the originator of this false information. The moment that statement hit the news, a ripple of skepticism began to spread. Could AI really have done this? Could fake messages look that real? Tech experts soon weighed in, showing how new generative tools could mimic texting styles, fake message layouts, and even simulate emotional tone. The public shock turned to unease. If AI could do this to a celebrity, who would be next? Still, the identity of the mysterious German blogger remained unknown. The blog where the posts had first appeared vanished overnight, replaced with an empty page and a single sentence in broken English. "I'm sorry. I went too far." It wasn't enough. The apology spread just as quickly as the lie, but it couldn't undo the chaos. The blogger soon resurfaced on another forum, this time with a longer message, a full confession. They admitted everything: the fake screenshots, the made-up story, the emotional entanglement that led them to pretend it was real. "It started as a joke," the blogger wrote, "but it became a story I couldn't stop writing. The AI made it too easy. The pictures, the words, everything looked real. I thought it was harmless until it wasn't." That line, "until it wasn't," echoed through every article that followed. What had begun as a cruel joke had spiraled into an international scandal, tarnishing a man's name and shaking fans' faith in what they see online. When Yi-kyung finally appeared in public again, it wasn't for a press conference or interview. It was for work. Cameras rolled on the set of his variety show, and though he looked composed, those who knew him said his smile carried a new weight. Yet, instead of bitterness, there was quiet resolve. Behind the scenes, he thanked the crew for standing by him. One staff member recalled how he stayed late after filming to personally